A look at the legal battle over masks in South Carolina public schools. Today, the state Supreme Court heard arguments in two cases involving mask mandates in schools. The first was the Attorney General's lawsuit against the city of Columbia.
News 19's Julia Kaufman tells us more.
Both hearings today were centered around the proviso that bans mask mandates in schools. Due to the wording of the proviso, the Supreme Court is looking into not only if schools can mandate masks, but how they use funding to do so.
The question in this case for the court is whether a one-time budget instruction that prohibits the use of state money also prohibited cities like the city of Columbia from taking action.
Proviso 1.108 says schools cannot use funding from this year's state budget to mandate masks. Columbia enacted a mask ordinance for elementary and middle schools. Attorney Chris Kenney says it doesn't violate the proviso because they're not using those funds to enforce it.
2/3 of the Richland One revenue was local money. So, with respect to what the General Assembly has done in Proviso 1.108, all they have said is do not spend our money on a mask mandate. And the city's ordinance complies with that entirely.
But the AG's office argues that school staff are the ones enforcing masks day to day, and their salaries are being paid by the state, which means state funds are being used to enforce masks.
Teachers will be at the front line of this in their classrooms. The teacher would be up to the teacher to say, put your mask back on.
In the second hearing, Richland Two's attorney, Carl Solomon, argues they can also enforce masks without state funding.
Richland Two has $80 million sitting in a bank account from funds appropriated prior to this year or from local funds.
But those defending the proviso, like attorney Emery Smith, argue all funds are intertwined and eventually state funding from this year would be used to enforce masks.
It would be different if this proviso said can't use money to buy a mask. It doesn't say that. It says can't use money to require that students or employees wear a face mask. So that goes directly to enforcement. So does the ordinance, and they can't both be right.
When a city ordinance conflicts with a proviso, Smith argues state law takes precedent. But Solomon argues the law is unconstitutional by preventing safety in schools. The court heard both sides in both hearings, but it's unclear when a decision will come down. In Columbia, Julia Kaufman, News 19, WLTX.